Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have the third of my incredibly beautiful Shane Foulkes painted models. Now, the very first one that I had reviewed was actually the Guilherme Belinsky Art Tyrannosaurus Rex. It was a Rexy model based on the Jurassic Park T-Rex, sculpted by Guilherme, painted by Shane Foulkes. The second one was the Saurophaganax, also sculpted by Guilherme, painted by Shane Foulkes. This time, however, we don't have anything to do with Guilherme Belinsky art. This time we've got a Kaiyodo model, as we have the older Kaiyodo Triceratops, and I believe it's 1/20th scale. And this is now painted and built by Shane Foulkes, which is incredible because it's a model that I honestly don't know too much about, but I know that they can be very hard to find at times, very pricey to get a hold of these Kaiyodo models like this, the larger, releases, but I was lucky enough to get a hold of it for a very good price, and again, Shane's amazing paintwork on it, so I am extremely excited to have this in my collection, and when it comes to a paint job, this is obviously the most beautiful Triceratops in my collection overall, because the paint job applied by Shane Foulkes here is as incredible and as realistic as it honestly can get. But the model overall is also really quite beautiful, definitely a very nice sculpt, and I only actually have, I think, maybe like 2, maybe 3 of the older Kaiyodo models like this, the larger ones that they had released, so I'm really psyched to have another here, especially when it comes to a Triceratops, because I don't think I have any herbivores at all when it comes to these larger Kaiyodo models. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Triceratops, you can definitely see it has some beautiful detailing. Like, I really feel like these old Kaiyodo models, even though there is a large fan base for them, I still feel like they're a bit underrated because the detailing of this looks absolutely incredible, honestly. You can see some really nice looking skin texture. Shane has done an insanely good job of painting this out in a way where he has made sure to highlight every ounce of detail on this, but also, of course, make it look as realistic and lifelike as possible. You can see the nostrils are painted with a darker tone. He also has a little bit of a gloss coat there in the nostrils, which I think is a very realistic aspect that many people choose not to include, but I almost always do. I always try to do something like that because I just feel like it adds a nice element of realism that you don't often see, and I think it really amps up the realistic appearance of the model. But you can also see that the beak again is sculpted really nicely, but painted way nicer than I would have ever expected a beak to have been painted. Look at all the different tones of color added within the beak of the Triceratops. Like, that is insane. There is just so much coloration just right there in that area of the beak of this model. You can also see the inside of the mouth is, of course, sculpted really well, but also painted really nicely by Shane. You can also see that the teeth are painted back there, and all the detailing and everything of the inside of the mouth as far as the paintwork goes looks great. You can also see there's a nice gloss coat added to the inside of the mouth, which is, of course, always a huge plus. The tongue is in there. Of course, the jaw is not articulated or anything like that, so we can't really get in there too well to see it, but it looks great from what we can see. As you move through the course of the model, there's almost so much paintwork, it's hard to talk about it and point it all out. You can see some variations of like off-whites and like yellowish browns and stuff down here. You can see more off-whites down here as you move a little bit further down into the lower jaw. As you move up, you have some nice grayish tones, lighter and darker grayish tones, and there's just so much depth to this paint job. It's crazy. Leading up into the horn, you can as well see again grayish tones. You've also got variations of browns and even some like light off-whites and stuff as you lead out closer to the tip of the horn. Moving back through the face of the Triceratops, look at how nicely painted that eye is. Again, given a really nice gloss coat so it shines very realistically. There's also some nice creasing and everything there in the eye socket. We have that kind of like keratin type look to the face of this one, something that you've probably seen portrayed on the beasts of the Mesozoic models, specifically on their Triceratops and their Taurosaurus, I believe. But you can see as you move down, you've got some really nice detailing here in this little spike sticking out of the side of the head of the Triceratops. Also, again, some incredible paintwork. Look at all the different tones of color, even in that area. And then as you move up into the horns, you again have just color variation for days, as well as incredible sculpt work for days. All sorts of really nice cracks and crevices. I love that he's added kind of like a nice light striping, and we transition to a really nice light tone there for the tips of the horns. And as you move up into the frill, one thing that you usually want to see is a little bit of a flashier design in the frill, or at least that's something that many people do. I definitely do it when I paint my ceratopsians, but look at how incredible the design is from Shane here. That is absolutely one of the flashiest looking frills, but again, most naturalistic looking frills. When I say Shane is a master at what he does, I feel like that right there is the perfect evidence to back that statement up. You can also see that we have some more grayish tones moving around the outer edge of the frill here of our Triceratops. The spikes as well are painted again to perfection. And then if you turn it and look at it from the front, again, as we move up, look at how absolutely amazing the paintwork is of this Triceratops. Easily one of the most incredible things that I've ever seen, especially one of the most incredible things I've ever had the pleasure of adding to my collection. Same style of paintwork and everything, same style of sculpt work and everything over here that we saw on the initial side, just as drop dead gorgeous as it honestly gets for a Triceratops. As you move back here into the neck, you have all kinds of skin wrinkles, skin folds, all that fun stuff. You also have more skin wrinkles and everything here as you lead down into the throat region of the Triceratops. It looks great as far as both the detailing aspect, again with all the different skin wrinkles and folds and skin texture, but also again Shane's paintwork includes so many different varying tones of color, just giving it an extremely realistic appearance. As you continue to move through, you have so many different variations of grays and even some slight hints of browns and blacks. It is crazy. We have a very nice, very osteoderm-like look to the majority of the body of the Triceratops. As you can see, those osteoderms poking up pretty much all over the place. You've got more really nice looking skin detail here on the back of the neck. You can see the skin leading up to the back of the frill, and again, incredible paintwork here moving along the back of the frill with so many varying tones of color. Like, if you collect models like this, or if you collect resin models, I really feel like you need at some point to acquire a Shane Foulkes painted model. Like, I just feel like my collection was not complete until I did so. I really cannot recommend Shane Foulkes enough when it comes to his paintwork. You can see that that looks absolutely incredible. But again, as you move down through the course of the body, you see a very muscular front leg here, obviously taking a step forward. You've got all kinds of really nice looking skin detail throughout as far as like the movement and the creasing and wrinkling of the skin. You've got the elbow present there on the back of the leg. Really nice looking foot sculpt here, and you've got some nice detailing moving down the toes. The wrist is also nicely sculpted out. You've got some paint for the nails that again starts with a darker tone, transitions to a lighter tone as you lead out toward the tip of the nails. They even kind of have a little bit of a glossy look to them. As you move up here, you have, again, skin wrinkles galore, just skin wrinkles everywhere on the stomach region of the Triceratops. And again, there's just so many different slight tones of color difference through the course of the body. It's probably just more sensible for me to just kind of show it to you rather than even attempt to explain it. It's just baffling to me how much paintwork is included on this. You can really pick out the hip bone right there. Is very nice and big and bulging through the body right there. You can see the muscle definition of the thigh moving down. Again, more osteoderms poking up here and there. As you move down, you can see the kneecap there in the front of the leg. You've got the calf muscle here in the back. And again, the coloration is just absolutely as baffling to me as it gets when it comes to how Shane managed to put so much color variation in this model. It is just crazy. And again, it really does create the most realistic looking model possible when it comes to a paint job. You've got a really nice foot sculpt again for the rear leg. You've got the nicely sculpted out toes, nicely again sculpted and painted nails. You can even see cracks and crevices within the nails themselves, some scoots there running down the toes. And then you lead back up here. You've got some more skin wrinkling and creasing right here, back behind the thigh, again leading out into the tail. The detailing is really vibrant throughout, so if you can get your hands on one of these Triceratops models, I really recommend getting one. And not only that, I recommend sending it to Shane to build and paint it. But you can see the cloaca is present here as you move back. He's also highlighted the cloaca with a different tone of color. But even moving along the underside, you again see all the skin wrinkles and skin creases and really nice skin texture, but all of the amazing variation of color that Shane has applied to this. You've got more creasing and even like cracks and crevices to the skin wrinkles here as you lead into the chest. more larger scales there leading up into the body, and again, all kinds of skin wrinkles moving up here into the throat. Not too much difference when it comes to one side compared to the other. You can just basically see that the Triceratops is walking pretty much straight forward. The head doesn't have any kind of a turn or tilt to it. The body itself just has different positioning for the legs on this side. Again, showing off the walking movement of the Triceratops. You can see these toes here are just leaving the ground, so obviously this foot is about to take a step as that foot over there is planted quite nicely. So this one would be the next leg, it looks like, to move. Both of the rear legs are kind of planted, but this leg looks like it's, preparing to take another step as well. So you can see again that the skin detail and everything here in the stomach region plays off of the movement of the limbs on this side perfectly. Again, showing off exactly how the wrinkles would be reacting to that movement. And again, the paintwork, hypnotic as it gets. I just cannot stop staring at this and analyzing all the many different tones of color that Shane has added to this. The only other difference is you can see that the tail does curl toward the left a little bit. Not too much, but just slightly. But wow, that is easily the most beautiful paint job that I have on a Triceratops in my collection. I actually have a Shane Foulkes sculpted Triceratops, not painted. It was painted by me. But I almost don't even want to look at it anymore because I didn't have Shane paint it, and my paintwork can't even remotely compete with what Shane does here because Shane's paintwork is incredible. I should have had him paint up that Triceratops in this coloration because it would have been amazing. But definitely, again, a beautiful sculpt for sure. The Kaiyodo models, like I said, in my opinion, even though they have a large fan base, are severely underrated. And Shane Foulkes' paintwork here really just brings the model to life in the absolute most realistic way possible. As far as a size goes, again, it's definitely quite sizable. For a length from the beak to the tail, about 13 3/4 inches or around 35 centimeters. And then for a height to the top of the highest point, I think might be the frill, about 6 1/4 inches or right around 16 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our massive Triceratops. And you can definitely see, size-wise, it's very large, and definitely one of the larger Triceratops that I have in my collection. I think the only one that I could say would be bigger than this actually might be the Shane Foulkes one, and the Dinosaur Sideshow, I would imagine, would probably be a little bit bigger than our Kaiyodo version here, but regardless, it is still a massive, massive Triceratops. Actually, I take that back because I forgot one of the prime large Triceratops out there. We've got the Beasts of the Mesozoic version. This is the second version, the greenish one that they had released. But obviously, we can see this one is similar in size, but overall, the body mass of the Beasts of the Mesozoic adult Triceratops is definitely a little bit larger than our Kaiyodo version. Now we turn them the opposite way because the positioning of Shane's Triceratops looks a little better over here. But this is the Shane Foulkes 1/20th scale Triceratops next to the Kaiyodo version, and you can obviously see, even though I am really quite happy with the paintwork on mine, I definitely love that model. Shane's paintwork is a little bit more impressive than mine, a little bit more realistic, but obviously two very similarly sized Triceratops, which they actually look super, super cool together for sure. Then for another comparison, we have the Nanmu Triceratops, which you can definitely see is a good bit smaller than our Kaiyodo version, which is to be expected since the scales are off pretty drastically. Then we've also got the Papo Triceratops, which you can again see, it's a similar size to the Nanmu Triceratops, so I wasn't expecting this one to be much of a comparison next to the Kaiyodo version. And then for one final comparison, we have the larger vinyl PNSO Triceratops here next to the Kaiyodo version. Again, this is a pretty popular Triceratops model that many people did have in their collections, so being a similar size, I felt like that would be a good one for a comparison. So this Kaiyodo Triceratops is absolutely gorgeous. Of course, taking out the fact that it's painted by Shane Foulkes, the Triceratops alone is really beautiful. The detailing is really impressive throughout the entire course of the model. Again, this model was released, I believe, a while back. I don't know how long ago because I'm not too familiar with the model. I actually kind of want to find out because it's something that I just like to know. I like to have at least an idea of when this was released. So if you guys have that information, definitely let me know in the comments section. But again, as a whole, the model is incredible when it comes to the fine detailing. Like, it looks like it could have been sculpted today, and the detail holds up wonderfully compared to what you see when it comes to most models nowadays. Again, the Kaiyodo line as a whole is fantastic, but these larger model kits that they had released are just, again, some of the coolest models you'll see anywhere. And they have quite a bit of them different, versions. I even have like an Allosaurus in my collection that's almost like based on a Guanji Allosaurus, which is really cool. But this Triceratops, sculpt and detail wise, is incredible. Easily one of the most beautiful Triceratops in my collection. But the fact that it's painted by Shane Foulkes amps up the amazing appearance of this by a mile, because Shane's paintwork is as lifelike as it honestly gets. Like, I've never seen any paleo artist out there that can, in my opinion, compete with the realism of Shane Foulkes' paint jobs, and you could see that through the course of this entire Triceratops. It straight up looks like a living, breathing animal here before me. I almost am just expecting it to kind of walk right off the table here as I'm reviewing it, because it looks so lifelike and realistic. And he's added in so many elements of, realism to the model, like the incredible paintwork of the eyes, the gloss coat on the eyes, the gloss coat on the nose. He's done a great job of adding in washes and just an insane amount of depth to the paint job as a whole. And he also has painted it in a way where it has that kind of coloration, like those darker tones sort of that I like to see on a Triceratops, but he also has added in the elements of flashiness and the frill and everything like I also like to see, but none of it looks like outlandish, none of it looks unrealistic, like it looks like it is absolutely definitively the coloration of a Triceratops. It's that perfectly painted. So again, the Kaiyodo model here isn't something that I see every day, and usually if I do see one of these for sale, it's a little bit expensive, so if you can acquire one for a decent price, I absolutely recommend grabbing one. But more importantly than that, I really recommend Shane Foulkes and his amazing paintwork. So if you are interested in getting a model painted up, if you have something that's been sitting around that you just want painted, or if you happen to see a model on Shane Foulkes' Cretaceous Creations of America website, because he sculpts his own models as well, and you would really like to get a hold of one, I really recommend ordering one of his models, and then of course having him painted up for you as well. Definitely a huge recommendation from me. Certainly something that will be the centerpiece of your collection if you do so. So I will include a link in the description to where you can contact Shane Foulkes, as well as a link to the Cretaceous Creations of America website. Make sure you check all of those links. Make sure you purchase yourself some amazing models, or at least a paint job from Shane Foulkes, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.